Hello folks, Emily and I are running a series of online events in preparation for European Coworking Day 2025, and that's on the 14th of May. And even if you're never going to run an event in European Coworking Day, coming to these workshops will be really useful for you. They're just an hour long, they're really interactive, and what we found personally with nearly all our work over the years is talking to other people on the same journey as us is so much more valuable than sitting in front of an online course and a video. And in these workshops, co-working space owners and community managers and people that are really keen on building their community by running better events in their co-working spaces gather together and share what's working and what's not working. And for Emily and I, since 2010, we really have run over 1,000 community building events, workshops, meetups, festivals, and most of those have been in co-working spaces in London and across Europe. So we know what works, what doesn't work, what tech to use, what tech not to use, what email system to use, how to talk to people, and how to make events that really build community. There's a link in the show notes, or find us online, DM us, or follow any of the London Co-working Assembly or Co-working Values podcast. Now, let's get into the show. Hello, folks. It's another Co-working Values podcast, and in the studio again, back for a second time, is Shamena. Shamena, what are you known for, and what would you like to be known for?
Wow, Bernie. Thank you so much for always giving me the loaded question. I am known for being probably overly positive and smiley most of the times, but I would love to be known for being a problem solver and a community builder. Yeah.
I think you are already. Like, you're very good at solving problems, but we'll get into that later. So we've been talking over the last few weeks in WhatsApp and calls and stuff about community and bringing people together. And I think the quick jumping off point here to open our conversation is, in our hectic, uncertain world, you've organised this event at your co-working space, which you can explain about because I forgot to ask you to explain about it, called Pause and Pour, and that's Pause and POUR, ladies and gentlemen. So what is Pour? Because you might think it's like two sets of paws or something, but what is Pause and Pour about? Because I love it.
Yeah, no, thank you. So we're here in the Washington, D.C. area. Yeah, so let me start with that, right? So here in United States and in the Washington, D.C. area, I mean, we're feeling it with a lot of transition with just government and administration and, different things. And for me, I'm a former federal worker of about 19 years, prior military. And so looking around and just, you feel it. It's in the air, the nervousness that people feel, like this shift. And Pause and Pour is us like holding space for those people that are navigating transition, right? The uncertainty, and just letting them know that this is a safe space to just come and take a moment to breathe, right? Like, we're going to come and we're going to pause, we're going to breathe, we're going to pour you a proper cup of tea. I don't know how much caffeine we'll have, right? We don't want to stir people up, but offer a free day of co-working and community connection. And I've arranged sort of this inspirational mini talk as well, that speaks to transitioning. And then I've sort of reached into my own network and have some coaches, some executive coaches, to come in and have these mini sprints with folks that can help sort of lead them or guide them in thinking about what's next potentially for them career-wise.
I like on the thing on LinkedIn, and we'll put this in the show notes so you can have a look, folks. It says, whether you're a federal worker, a freelancer, a working parent, or remote professional, you're welcome here. And that's kind of everybody, isn't it? And like, as I was looking at that, I was reading some research about freelancers and how many freelancers in London are just about making it nowadays because of the cost of living crisis has gone up and people's, ability, I'd say, to hire freelancers has gone down. And can you say a bit about working parent? Because that's something we always get asked about in the co-working context, and there's a lot to juggle there, and that's kind of like the ethos or the centering of Cowo and Crèche.
Yeah. So how do you mean exactly when you say the working parent?
How you're I meant to say that as a really bad question. Sorry, Shamena, I got excited. How does Cowo and Crèche help and support working parents?
Yeah, I think for us, it's just giving them a space where they can be exactly that, right? A working parent. Um, the fact of the matter is, let me back up. All parents are working parents, whether you work outside the home, inside the home, whether you work for a paycheck or not. You're a parent. You are working. That said, if you're a parent that's working for a paycheck that you're getting from someone else, so you're working for a paycheck that you're essentially having to, produce yourself, you need that balance and as much as possible. And I don't even like the word balance anymore. Like work life balance is like, I've tossed that out the window. It's just become ruthless prioritization, right? For me as a professional, as a mother working outside of the home, as an entrepreneur, as a mompreneur, whatever hashtag name you want to put in front of something to make it catchy. The fact remains I have real tasks, real responsibilities, real stuff that has to get done, as well as having to mother and nurture little people that depend on me. And Cowo Crèche is a space where people can do that unapologetically. Um, and so there's the understanding that, sometimes my parents may need to like come in a little bit earlier than we would traditionally open up. And if I know you have a big meeting or a project, I allow for that. And the same thing, maybe you need to stay even later. And so, yep, Miss Shamena, I'll stay here. I'll tell my staff it's okay, they can leave, but I'll stick around, right, a little bit later after hours if that's what needs to happen, right, to be able to support you. And so for us, it's just allowing that space and that environment to say, what do you need done? And how can we help you get that done? And you don't have to feel this pressure of living in a silo and trying to balance and trying to do a pie chart, in your life and say this gets this much and this gets that much. It's like, no, what's your priority today? What needs to happen today? And how can we support you in this moment?
Thank you for giving a significantly better answer to my very poor question, because that's what I wanted to get to. How easy, like, do you think people know to ask for help from a co-working space at the moment, in your experience, or do you have to go up to them and say, like, listen, get in here, this is a place? Because you said several times a safe space, and people, a reoccurring theme on this podcast is people are looking for a safe space, and sometimes that is refuge, but other times it is, like, for me, a safe space is being able to go to the co-working space here, and it's very quiet there, so I can sit down and settle very fast. So
Mhm.
it's not as a white European male, I'm not very often unsafe, but I get to settle, and I get peace, and I get to get my work done better than I would have done, in the middle of a football pitch.
Right, right, right. No, exactly. I think in general, people don't know how to ask for help, right? Let's just start there. And I can't speak for, obviously I've lived several places, or excuse me, worked and traveled to several different places around the world. Um, but by and large, just speaking about being here in this area, so Washington, D.C. statistically has been one of the loneliest places to live in the US for several years running now. We've made the top five. So I think even that in of itself, that loneliness, doesn't lend to people asking for help, right? Like, it shows people don't even know how to ask for help. So I've never been the one to like just wait around for someone to ask me about anything. So I think I lead with, "Hi, we're here." "Hi, we're here. We're here for you to have community. We're here for you to have quiet. We're here for someone to say, 'How are you?' and actually take a moment and pause to get a true answer," right? One of my pet peeves, Bernie, you don't know, I'll share this with you, is when people use like, "Hi, how are you?" and they keep walking. Like
Hmm.
it's a greeting. Like, no, that's a question. Don't ask me. Like,
I used to, that annoys me. For years, that has annoyed me. And I used to work in this busy bar in the financial district in London,
Mhm,
and people would come into the bar, and I knew what they were doing. They'd come into the bar for a business lunch, and they'd say, "Hi, how are you?" And then they'd go with your order. And
mhm.
I would always say, "Oh, it's a really bad day." And then they'd be, and they weren't expecting me to say that. And I was deliberate, I was like, and I know I annoyed some people. And there were some people who would sit at the bar more, quite a lot at lunchtime, and they go, "Oh, here we go." And then I'd say, "Oh my, it's a bad day. My hamster died." And most people didn't know what to say. And then I would say, which I think is hilarious, ladies and gentlemen, I'd say it fell asleep at the wheel. And
What?
o- and only a few people would get it, which made it even more awkward. But it was my little kind of like, if you don't really want to know how I am, don't ask how I am. Just say I need 2 beers and a gin and tonic and get on with it. But
Right,
how high
right.
are you? So yeah, I
Yeah,
know what you mean.
yeah. So that's funny. No,
It's
so
not
so for us,
funny. It's awkward.
when you say, yeah, and like you said, for you, it could be the quiet space. For me, it's, being able to, maybe for a mom that's in here co-working, like, "Hey, how's your baby, doing? What's the new picture look? What are they up to? First steps, words, just giving people a moment, even during the workday, to be able to share something that's so personal and real in what they're going through currently. Yeah.
How did you want to do that pause and pause? I mean, obviously you want to do that. Like, what made you do that? Did you see something happening in your space? Was it something you've been thinking about for ages? Because it's like very simple but really necessary.
I just felt it was a need, because like I said, it's in the air here. The nervousness, the uncertainty that people are feeling, you can't miss it here, right? And someone's gonna know someone that's affected. We see it so much on like the news, so it could be on the world stage about what's happening in the US, but for us it's like local news. Yeah, so I see the protests, I see the headlines, even on a very local way. And when people do speak about it, it was coming, I felt more, I can feel people's anxiety and nervousness more than anything else. And for me, I think naturally, because I am a person of faith, I wanted people to feel hope, right? Like, despite of what it may look like and what it may, um, I mean, this is reality, right? Like, and it can suck really bad. And also, there's still room for faith. And also, there's still room for hope. And also, there's still room for you to understand as a professional that all the years that you work, it's not been wasted, right? Nothing's missing, nothing's broken. And how do we get to a place of conversation where we're not solely lamenting on what was lost, but how are we, in fact, looking at the process and the journey and everything that you've gone through thus far? And how do we use that as a springboard and this jumping off point for this new chapter, right? I think transition is a dirty word for people. Sometimes change is a dirty word, and it can be for some people, with the connotations that it can, bring, again, of uncertainty and not knowing. And so it's like, well, what do we do know, and how can I bring people together and say, okay, we don't necessarily know where your next paycheck is going to come from. Like that's real. We need to approach that. We don't necessarily know when the next like contract is going to fall through. Like that is very real. But what do we do know? We know that you are a professional. We know that by and large you are educated. We know that you have a network. We know that you can have community. We know that you you have learned things, right, from the same very government. You have learned things being in this city. You have learned things, hopefully extracurricular in other organizations and associations. So how can we just pause, take a breath, and put all of that together so that you can see that there is more hope than there is remorse?
And is it just me being a complete co-working fan? But I think like a co-working space is uniquely positioned to be able to do that. There are obviously other places where you can go and sit down in your community, like a cafe or a church or a,
Mhm.
the park or something can do that. But that the configuration of the what a co-working space is for, you are allowed to say yes after. No, no, it's
Yes,
not, Bernie.
yes, yes.
But I think this is like that little thing you did there is like that's what a co-working space can do in a local community. And what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think when you just said, I never thought about it this way before, but it almost seems like for me all of a sudden, like the co-working space, like at least mine, we want to be like Switzerland, right? Like this is a wonderful, like political free, agenda free, drama free space, right? Like we're the Swiss over here, right? We want to give you good vibes,
And
great
good
cheese,
chocolate
right? Chocolate and cheese
and
on a proper
timekeeping.
yeah, right. Charcuterie board of hopes and dreams. But no, we want, I think yeah, co-working spaces are uniquely designed for that, right? Because it's not corporate, it's not federal, it's not work proper with all these strings attached of, that can come with like your traditional office space. um and it's not home either, right? Because you need that separation. Like for me, I want the place that I go and lay my head to be super peaceful and relaxing. And I actually don't like working from home. Sorry, I said it. I said it. I said it. Don't
It's a
come for
safe
me.
space.
It's a safe space because I want that separation, right? I want to know, and it's a privilege to be able to work from home. I understand that, and it's super convenient. I'm just saying, for me personally, I'm very selfish. I love my couch, and it's beautiful and firm, but fluffy and comforting. And when I sit down on it, I don't care to have a laptop with me, right? My husband, and so I have to like, it's funny, I'm learning more to just tell him to please turn off, right? So when you're a startup and we're grinding throughout the day, and my husband still has his career that he works his 9 to 5, if you will, and I'm running the space, right? Because we're owner run and operated. And so sometimes in the evenings, like he'll try to tell me something, about Kowo, or bring it up, and I just I sort of like rest my finger on his lips, like, no, 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 no. Shh, there. No, sir.
9 a.m. tomorrow, you can say that.
Yes, yes. Like, please put this on my calendar. But at 9:30 in the evening, thank you, sir. I'm going to watch my show and be okay. So yeah, it's just even learning that bit of separation. Yeah.
It's really important. And it's so easy to carry on going. Like I'm recording this at the desk in our little office here in our flat in
Hmm.
Spain,
Hmm.
and if I don't set alarms to stop and unplug, I can just walk past this room and drift into it, and suddenly I'm doing something that I wouldn't have done if I was, had to. I wouldn't go to the co-working space up the road and start doing it because it's not that important. But I just, slip into it. The
Right. There's a productivity that comes with being here, right? There's much to be garnered when you're in a co-working space, like having that encouragement, right? Having someone just walk by and check in on you, which you don't have if you're by yourself, right? At home. Even if my husband and I we were at home, everyone when we did have to work at home, um you're in your own separate room, sort of siloed off, right? With your head down and focused. And I'm better in community. I'm better in partnership. I'm better when I have other people around, and we create just enough space and boundary to be productive, but not to the point that you feel alone.
So on that point, you went when you about 5 minutes ago, you were saying about how when you're sitting around people and you say, look, this is not going very well, but you are a professional, you do have this, and you will get another contract, and you are more or less educated. And I've seen, as you were saying that, I got tingles because I've seen that happen so many times in a co-working space where and I've kind of been that freelancer consultant person who's sat in a space around people and having a really bad day, and imposter syndrome and loser syndrome, and you know something's not going well, and I've got over it in an hour. And then I've also had exactly the same situation working on my own at home, and
Hmm.
it's taken me like 2 days to process it.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's because you said that, you must have seen that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, 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 no. All the time. It's just it's an energy, right? Like it's palpable, like you said. So just as I can say, you can feel negativity in the air, you can also feel positivity in the air. You can also feel hope and encouragement in the air, right? It's an energy. It's a vibe. And when people come to Cowo Crèche, like you get the vibe. If no one else is going to be your cheerleader, it's going to be me. So to be fair, like what I just mentioned before, there's something called like toxic positivity, right? So to be real, I don't know for a fact that someone else, like a next contract will come, right? Like I don't know that. But what I do know is that I can give space to where you can take a moment to see what's already in your hands. Does that make sense?
It does. Like I'm on this wavelength. We need to explain it for the people that are not on our wavelength yet. But I just really always think that. And my friend Darren Kay,
Mhm.
when I was like 17 and working in a bar and like whining, and he was the bar manager. He just gave me this little lecture. We were standing in the barrel room, like the beer cellar, and I was bringing all the beer in, and I was, "Ugh." And he gave me this lecture on a positive mental attitude versus a negative mental attitude. And it's like, yes, you're the youngest person in the whole building, Mitchell, and you're dragging all the beer cakes in, but you have a job, like people here like you, and and all these other things. I was like, oh yeah, I didn't think of it like that, and
But even for me, I think it's showing people that you can be independent, right? For the very thing that you've been dependent on for so many years. So, right, Bernie, me walking away from a stable federal career a year ago, like that's madness, right? Like who does that? Who walks away at almost 20 years? This is all I've known from young adulthood, to now. Am I middle aged? Yeah, I guess I'm middle aged now. I think. I don't know. I'm 44. Is that middle aged? Okay, I
if
don't know.
you probably live to 150, so
Oh, never
it's
mind. This
not,
is not middle
yeah.
aged. So at the prime of my life, I walk away. Thank you for the reframe. It and it can be scary, but I think people underestimate. See, comfortability can make you underestimate what's within you. You can get so comfortable and so complacent with the status quo and just the day in and day out of life that you can forget like what's inside of you, what's buried inside of you. Like in my mind, if today or tomorrow, like for whatever reasons, I needed to pivot and find another career, like I am convinced I could be a stand-up comedian. Like I'm funny, Bernie. Like I'm hilariously funny. I've been told so many times, so it has to be true, right? And in my mind, listen, if I needed to pitch a tent and tell jokes, like I'm going to pitch a tent and tell jokes, right? If I have to be a professional cheerleader, not with pom poms, I can't do that. But if I can be a professional like voiceover coach, or I don't know, just root for people and get, I'm going to find a way to get paid. Right? Like there's something within me. I have this audacity within myself to believe that I can make it. And I think buried within each and every one of us, there is that. I've just been fortunate where I've had enough people around me, good people, not a, I don't have a ton of people, but I have a good certain few friends and my family that have been so good to me that, like I don't have what did you call that? Imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is. Like I know what it is, but I've not experienced that.
I now think it's made up by people that sell books to freelancers.
I'm pretty sure it is. It's yeah, it's a scam. No, I mean, who's telling you that you're an imposter?
It's just
I'm
me,
me.
Shamena.
No, I mean, like I'm me. Who are you posing as? Who exactly are you posing as? How do I have imposter syndrome? I am showing up as myself in a position, right? That I mean, I would hope I've earned, and even if I didn't, I mean, I couldn't. I won't even get into all of that. But I mean, I don't feel like an imposter. I don't have imposter syndrome. I am working and living and walking in the life in this moment, in this day that I am meant to. And if you're around me for any amount of time, I want to be able to give you um, that freedom and give you that same sense of understanding that you belong um, where you are in that moment, and for you to fully own it. And if for whatever reasons you look up and say, hey, I don't feel fulfilled, or for whatever reasons that just gets snatched away from you, even if that's not, obviously it wasn't planned and it's all of a sudden and now you're forced to pivot and transition, um, it's going to be all right. It's still going to be all right.
We're going to end there because I can't top that. Where can we find you and Cowo Crèche online, please?
You can find us at Cowo.Crèche on all social media handles, Instagram, Facebook, on LinkedIn, Cowo Crèche, as well as personally, I'm on LinkedIn, Shamena Nurse-Kingsley. Would love to connect and learn. I love life, Bernie. I love life, and I do love people. I believe more in our shared humanity than I do in the things that would seemingly divide us. By and large, I think people have more in common than we do differently. And I would love to continue to connect and grow and learn and have perspective shifts, if necessary, but more so just to share joy and hope. Yeah.
That is beautiful. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are listening in the world, if you go to the show notes for our episode here, you can find the Co-working Values podcast, which is on LinkedIn. There's European Co-working Day, which is in Europe on the 14th of May. And the essence of what we, Shamena and I talked about in this podcast, is a lot of the energy we're bringing to that whole getting together neighborhood co-working space, helping people to connect, helping. Like more than once I've sat around a table and realised I've got more in common with people that I thought I disagreed with, but actually we do. And a co-working space is one of the best places in the world to do that. Wherever you are in the world, be careful out there. It is a jungle.